What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Fresh Review. You're new to the channel. What we do here is review each and every game of the NFL season. This is our Week 15 2024 NFL review. And it started off with one of the worst games of the year. In the background, I'm going to have one of the games of the year, one of the games of the week at least. The Buffalo Bills take on the Detroit Lions. But let's start with this Thursday night game. The LA Rams take on the San Francisco 49ers. Divisional matchup, must-win game for both teams. The Rams are looking to secure or further secure their lead atop the division. The Niners are trying to get back in the divisional mix. If they win out, they can make the playoffs. It will be tough since they just lost McCaffrey for the season last week. They weren't able to win with McCaffrey. Can they win without him? They weren't even able to win too much without him this year. And the Niners just do nothing this game. Must-win game here for both teams, and it's nothing but field goals. Final score is 12-6. This game was truly awful. The only highlight play that happened in this game was a 51-yard bomb Stafford threw to Puka Nacua that led to what? Another field goal. Purdy and the Niners got nothing going. Purdy threw a pick, only 142 passing yards, only a total of 302 passing yards for both these quarterbacks this game on 58 pass attempts. This game was horrendous. I'm giving it a 14 out of 100. What made this game even worse than the other bad games on primetime, if it's on a Sunday or Monday, you're like, all right, Sunday, well, at least most of the day we got some good games. On Monday, well, at least yesterday was good. On a Thursday, I waited all week for this. Like, I'm literally going from no football from Monday to Sunday. Completely unacceptable. Horrendous score here. Now we're going on to our next game, which is the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Cleveland Browns. This game, the Chiefs took a 21-0 lead, and, Mahomes up 21-0. This game was over as well. He's not blowing that lead, at least for the Cleveland Browns. The Browns got nothing going here. Jameis Winston, 3 interceptions here. He got benched towards the end of the game. DTR came in. He threw an interception as well. The man said, anything you can do, I can do better. Nick Chubb fumbled this game. They lost the fumble, and he also got injured. Broke his foot. He's out for the rest of the year. Jerome Ford, he filled in, had 7 carries, 84 rushing yards, and a TD. He broke his 62-yard TD run down the right sideline. Jerry Jeudy, another solid game here for him. He goes for 11 catches and 108 yards, so he goes over 100 yards yet again. He's one of the top 5 receivers in receiving yards for the season. Unfortunately, Nick Chubb wasn't the only players that got injured. We go over to the flip side. The Kansas City Chiefs lost Patrick Mahomes this game. Mahomes finished with 2 passing TDs on 159 passing yards. He sprained his ankle. His status is uncertain for next week. I think he should sit out next week. They got a Super Bowl winning quarterback right behind him, Carson Wentz, who came in, went 2 for 2, 20 passing yards. Carson Wentz, Super Bowl winning quarterback. He can fill in for a game or two. They got a short week coming up Saturday. Then they play again on Wednesday. I don't know why the NFL made this schedule so outlandish just to get a Christmas game in. The Ravens, Texans, Steelers, and Chiefs have to play Sunday, Saturday, then Wednesday. So really quick schedule for them. Brutal schedule. NFL, shame on them. But we got to look at the rushing game. Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco both get 13 carries. Don't really amount to too much there. Xavier Worthy, though, he gets 3 carries, takes 1 to the house for a touchdown. He also gets 30 yards total. And then he also goes receiving-wise, 6 catches, 46 yards here. So Xavier Worthy, solid game here by him. He's improving on a week-by-week basis. He led the way for the Kansas City Chiefs in the receiving department. Overall, though, I thought this game was really bad, though. I'm giving it 21 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game, which was the Cincinnati Bengals take on the Tennessee Titans. And what a game this was. So Will Levis gets to start this game, but he quickly gets benched. He goes 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, less than 100 yards. They get him out of there. But the craziest part about this game wasn't the Will Levis benching for Mason Rudolph, who came in and played much better. Mason Rudolph, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 209 passing yards. But Will Levis getting benched isn't the crazy part about this game. It was the fumble that Tony Pollard had, where Jordan Battle scoops it up, runs 60 yards down the field, and drops the ball at the 1-yard line, so it ends up being a touchback. But here's the kicker. Here's the series of events that transpired for the Tennessee offense. Will Levis throws a pick 6 to Geno Stone. All right, he gets benched. That's the third of the game. You done threw more touchdowns to the team in white than you have in your own team color. You got to sit by the coach. They bring in Mason Rudolph. The fumble happened on a handoff to Tony Pollard. I'm not sure he got the ball clean or whatever, but he drops it immediately. Non-contact, drops it, scoop and score. They fumble at the goal line. Cincinnati does before the runner, Jordan Battle, can run across the goal line. He does the Deshaun Jackson, the Kyle Pitts, whatever you want to call it, drops the ball at the 1 yard line, touchback. Tennessee gets the ball again. Why? So Mason Rudolph could throw an interception. Abysmal performance. And this game was filled with highlights. Because you go even look at the flip side. We got Joe Burrow here. He goes for 3 TDs, but he also threw 2 interceptions. And Joe Burrow also lost a fumble. So a lot of turnovers in this game. Made it very entertaining. We go look at Chase Brown, 97 rushing yards and a rushing TD. He also chips in with 16 receiving yards and another TD, so over 100 scrimmage yards and 2 TDs. Another solid game here by Chase Brown. And of course, Jamar Chase, 9 catches, 94 yards. He does what he does. T. Higgins gets a TD as well, 5 catches, 88 yards. So it was a very entertaining game with highlights, defensive plays, interceptions, touchdowns. Final score is 37-27. Very entertaining. Bengals are still on win now mode. They got to win out to try to make the playoffs. There's a chance, but it's a small chance. They can still do it. But the Bengals win this game, and I thought the game was well above average. I can't give it a good grade because we got players fumbling at the 1 yard line. We got quarterbacks getting benched. We got some wild passes being thrown where I'm not even sure what the quarterback saw. He might have been trying to do the Mahomes, the Matthew Stafford, the no-look pass. I don't know what the quarterback was thinking, but we got a whole lot of nonsense happening. I'm giving this game a 69 out of 100. It was a game that was so bad it was almost good type stuff. But now we go on to our next game, which might have been the real game of the week, but I can't keep showing Commander games, truth be told. It's the Washington Commanders take on the New Orleans Saints, and what a game this was. The Commanders are fighting for a playoff spot in the wild card. The Saints are fighting for NFC South title. I don't think they get it, but after they lost this game, they're pretty much eliminated. It'd be extremely tough for them to crawl their way back in. But the Commanders take a commanding lead, 17-0, early in the third quarter. So after halftime, the Saints made some adjustments. What's that adjustment? They started Jake Haener. That was not the right move. They brought in Spencer Rattler after halftime, and Spencer Rattler led this comeback, and they found themselves down 13-20. And Spencer Rattler needs a game-winning drive. On the final play of the game, time expires. They get a TD to Foster Moreau. Now they got to go for 2. They go for 2, and they do not get the 2-point conversion. Pass is broken up, and that's how the game ends. Washington holds on and wins the game 20-19. Now, personally, I'm Mr. Go for 2 all the time, especially you're the worst team. I think the Saints are worse than the Washington Commanders. But in this case, I actually think the Saints should have took it to overtime. Why? Because they're home, so you got the crowd rocking. You fall all the way back. You got all the momentum. Let's just go to overtime and see who's the best team over these next 10 minutes. Because in the second half, the Saints were without a doubt the better team. Now we look at their stats. Jake Haener finished the game 4 for 10 for 49 yards and an interception. They did nothing but punt, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, throw a pick, 3 and out. It was horrible with Haener in there. Rattler came in. He was a little bit better. 135 passing yards, 1 TD, 0 interceptions. Plus the game, well, not game-winning drive, but the fourth quarter clutch drive that almost was game-winning. Running back-wise, Kendre Miller, 9 carries, 46 yards here. Alvin Kamara, 5 carries, 12 yards here. So Kendre gets a lot of the workload, so it seems like they're going to see what Kendre's capable of over these next few games. But Alvin Kamara still produces in the receiving department, 4 catches, 58 yards, and a TD. Now, the Commanders, on the other hand, Jaden Daniels, another solid game by him. Right now, he's the Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. But Bo Nix is right there with him. Depending on which team makes the playoffs, might get the edge. If they both make it, then I probably would lean Jaden Daniels. But Jaden Daniels, 226 passing yards, 2 TDs, 0 interception. Also leads the game in the team in rushing yards. He had 11 carries for 66 yards. With no Austin Eckler due to the concussion, they rely on Brian Robinson a lot here. They give him 21 carries. He only amounts to 65 yards, though. So not a great game there by B-Rob on the ground. Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels' favorite target. Terry McLaurin having one of the best years of his career, if not the best year of his career. 7 catches, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. He normally didn't get too many touchdowns, but now him and Jaden Daniels, especially in the red zone, got a great connection. He's getting a lot of touchdowns this year. But overall, though, I thought this was an amazing game. 91 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game, which is the Baltimore Ravens take on the New York Giants. And oh my goodness, is this MVP race getting spicy here? Because you see our cover athletes, Josh Allen. The only other person right now that's really in the conversation that can beat him is Lamar Jackson. He had a great game this game. 290 passing yards, 5 passing TDs. Of course, the Ravens blow out the Giants 35-14 here. Derrick Henry on the ground, 14 carries, 67 yards. Lamar Jackson right there with him, 6 carries, 65 yards. So Lamar over 300 total yards yet again. 0 interceptions yet again. He's been taking great care of the ball. Granted, he did lose a fumble this game, but that's okay. Receiving wise, Rashad Bateman, 3 catches, 80 yards, and 2 TDs. Perfect 49-yard TD catch he got from Lamar Jackson. What a throw that was. Lamar rolling out to his right, keeping his eyes downfield, throwing it deep to Bateman, who caught out down the sideline, made 2 defenders miss, broke their ankles, and didn't even see if they had health insurance. Justice Hill got the other TD. He was really good on the receiving department in this game. Five catches, 61 yards, and a TD. And then Mark Andrews and Devontae Walker got the other ones. We go look at the Giants, though. Tommy DeVito got the start here. Whole lot of short passing, 68 passing yards on 13 pass attempts. Not anything deep happening here crazy. Giants offense just really can't get going. Even on the running game, Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary both average 3.1 yards per carry. Devin Singletary does get the goal line TD though. Then Malik Neighbors gets the other TD for the Giants. He had 10 catches, 82 yards, and a TD. So they had DeVito the first half, brought in Tim Boyle the second half. I'm not sure that's because DeVito got benched at halftime or maybe got injured during the last drive. But Boyle comes in here, he goes for a TD, an interception, and then 123 passing yards on 24 attempts. Not a great game by either of these quarterbacks, but Malik Neighbors seems like he is quarterback proof, so that's great for the Giants going forward. Although it's very likely they do draft a quarterback in the draft or get somebody through free agency. If they don't, it looks like Malik Neighbors can still get busy regardless, but they ain't finna win many games. Now, I thought this game overall very entertaining with the Ravens highlights. Not so much for the Giants. I gotta give a well below average grade, a 35 out of 100. Now on to our next game, which was the Dallas Cowboys take on the Carolina Panthers, and this is the first time the Panthers look like the Panthers we've grown accustomed to over the past 2 years. So in our predictions that I do, me and my dad, every week we do this sheet where you predict who's gonna win the matchup. And then whoever does the best out of the hundreds of people that get thousands of dollars, or the case may be $20 entry per sheet. I got every game right except for this one. I picked the Carolina Panthers to win this game, and the Dallas Cowboys pub stomped them. That's on me actually, because the Dallas Cowboys are known to beat up on the bad teams. And although Carolina is playing better, I still thought they were a bad team. But Bryce Young, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions this game. Bad game for him. He had 219 passing yards, but one of those came to a blown coverage. He had Jalen Coker for an 83-yard TD bomb early in the game. It was a great pass down the sideline. Coker is able to catch it, then use his speed to outrun everybody in a foot race. Jalen Coker finished with 4 catches, 110 yards in that TD. So solid game here by the undrafted rookie. Look forward to see what he can do in the future. Chuba Hubbard here, one of the worst games of the season for him. 10 carries, 32 yards, and still no Jonathan Brooks due to the torn ACL. Hopefully he can make a return sometime next season. But Bryce Young gets the other rushing TD here. 3 carries, 12 yards for him. Now we go look at the Dallas Cowboys this game. Cooper Rush, best game of the season for, in my opinion at least. He goes for 214 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Rico Dowdle, another 100-plus yard game. 25 carries, 149 yards, so nearly 6 yards per carry. And then CeeDee Lamb goes over 100 receiving yards with Cooper Rush. So that's a great sign there for CeeDee Lamb. Also finishes 9 catches and a receiving TD. So solid game here by the Dallas Cowboys. Cooper Rush did fumble a couple times and they lost one, but they won 30-14. This game really wasn't close. The Cowboys took a lead early and won a wire-to-wire game against the Panthers. I'm giving this one a well below average grade as well, a 33 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game, which is the New York Jets take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Aaron Rodgers finally wins the game. So it's been a minute since the Jets won. Maybe an eon, maybe an eternity, but Aaron Rodgers and the Jets finally get another win. Aaron Rodgers, 289 passing yards, 3 passing TDs. You count his rushing yards, it's over 300 total yards. He had 6 carries for 45 yards. So Aaron Rodgers turned back the hands of time. Or maybe the Jaguars actually just trying to tank. I'm not sure exactly. But Breece Hall comes back, 9 carries, 30 yards, and TD for him. Devontae Adams, though, was a potential cover athlete guy. But I've been shafting the Bills. James Cook and Josh Allen been needing a cover for some of their performances. I already got the Garrett Wilson cover for his catch a few weeks back. So Devontae Adams this game, though, Goes for 198 receiving yards and 2 TDs. One of them was a go-ahead TD late in the game, 71-yard streak route right down the middle that outran everybody down the seam for the touchdown. 9 catches to go along with that 198 yards. Garrett Wilson got the other TD from Rodgers. He finished with 3 catches, 56 yards. So I still love seeing that dynamic duo of Rodgers and Adams. I'm not sure if we're going to get it again next year. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it is very entertaining to watch. You look at the flip side here, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mac Jones, 294 passing yards. He counted his rushing yards. He also goes over 300 total yards. He had 4 carries for 29. Threw 2 interceptions and had 2 TDs. Tank Bigsby and ETN been running a 1A, 1B in the backfield. But ETN actually leads the way in carries this game. He goes 14 carries, 65 yards. A little bit more than Tank Bigsby, who finished with 11 carries for 42 yards. So maybe they're going to do a hot hand, cold hand type thing. But Mac Jones continues to feed Brian Thomas Jr. 14 targets for BTJ, 2 touchdowns for him, 10 catches, 105 yards. And then their backup tight end, with Evan Ingram being out. Brenton Strange steps up. He goes for 11 catches, 73 yards. So solid game here all around. Came down to the final possession. Sauce Gardner got the pick that sealed the game, and the Jets win this game 32-25. I thought this game was amazing. I'm giving it a 90 out of 100. Now we go on to our next game, which is the Miami Dolphins take on the the Houston Texans. And this game, Tua, 3 interceptions, 1 passing TD. Not a great game here by Tua. Jonnu Smith got that 1 TD, so Jonnu Smith, another great game here for him. He finished with 9 catches, 48 yards, and a TD. Malik Washington led the team in receiving yards when Jalen Waddle got injured. He stepped up. He finished with 5 catches, 52 yards. And Tyreek Hill didn't get much going here. He had 2 catches for 36 yards. Devon Achane, 7 catches, 35 yards, 12 carries, 41 yards on the ground. So Devon Achane seems like the centerpiece of this offense, and Jonnu Smith seems like the second player. It's kind of crazy how Waddle and Tyreek Hill, going into the year, you can make the case they're the best 1A, 1B, or best wide receiver duo in the league. That case would not be made after this season. They both are having down years. And we got to look at the Texans on the other hand. C.J. Stroud kind of having a down year here, but he takes good care of the ball. No interceptions this game. Did lose a fumble. That happens when we got a horrible O-line. But C.J. Stroud, 131 passing yards, 2 TDs. Nothing crazy here this game. They just basically won this game off of defense alone. They won the game 20-12. Joe Mixon let the Texans in receiving yards. Nico Collins had only 4 catches, 17 yards, but he did have both TDs from Stroud. So they used him in the red zone. He's a good red zone threat. And none of these TDs were called back this time for Nico, so he got both of them secured. And I thought this game, a must-win game for the Texans and for the Miami Dolphins. Texans to further extend their lead over the division, and Dolphins to try to get in that playoff race. I thought it was very underwhelming. I'll give it an above-average grade, a 64 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game because I don't know what was in the water. But not only did Jordan Battle drop the ball, Jonathan Taylor dropped it as well. But at least when Jordan Battle did it, they were up and then they still won the game. Jonathan Taylor did it, and the Colts lost all momentum. So they're up 7-13 in this game. Jonathan Taylor, he runs in and extends the lead. Got loose down the right sideline for a 40-yard TD run. They look at the review. He dropped the ball. Another Deshaun Jackson. I don't know when these jokers will ever learn. I believe instead of doing the combine drills and all that, we got an IQ test or drug test these athletes for the combine. We have to. I don't know if it's a smart thing. I don't know if it's an intelligent thing. I don't know if it's a drug addiction type thing. They got to be on something. Like the ancient proverb said, a smart man learns from the mistakes of himself. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Everybody's seen the Deshaun Jackson clip, and plus numerous clips of it happening throughout the years. And why are we still making the mistake of dropping the ball at the 1-yard line? So not only did they lose that fumble, that took points off the board. It went out the bounds for a touchback. Broncos ended up getting the ball. Michael Pittman also got stripped. He fumbled. Adonai Mitchell also fumbled. Plus Anthony Richardson, 0 passing TDs and 2 interceptions. So a total of 5 takeaways here for the Broncos defense. Anthony Richardson, of course, under 50% passing yet again. So completion percentage is in the dirt, but he did get a rushing TD. He had 7 carries for 46 yards there. Now we go look at the flip side. We got the Denver Broncos, offensive rookie of the year candidate, and Bo Nix. Doesn't have a great game here either, but does enough to win, especially in the second half. He goes for 3 passing TDs and 3 interceptions. He also leads the team on the ground, 8 carries for 23 yards. Receiving wise, Cortland Sutton gets that TD, but nobody on the Broncos receiving wise does anything great this game. 3 catches, 32 yards, and TD for him. And this game was a blowout after that Jonathan Taylor play, 31-13. And Nick Bonito, one of the best players in the league right now on the defensive side of the ball, kind of underrated, or not too much talked about. One of the sack leaders, he had a scoop and score for a 50-yard touchdown this game. But 31-13 final. Without this game, with the fumble and stuff, two teams had fought for that wild card position. Thought it'd been a little bit better. It probably would have been if there wasn't that fumble. But I gotta give this one an average score of 49 out of 100. Some really bad quarterback play this game, but still solid game for the most part. Now we go look at our next game, which is the Buffalo Bills take on the Detroit Lions. The games you guys see in the background here. And Josh Allen, our cover athlete, what does he go out there and do? He might have took the lead in the MVP race after his performances the past 2 weeks. 10 total touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. That is insane. So Josh Allen goes for 362 passing yards, 2 passing TDs. On the ground, he gives you 11 carries, 68 rushing yards, and 2 rushing TDs. So 4 TDs, over 400 total yards. James Cook, though, very efficient this year. He goes for over 100 yards on the ground on only 14 carries. Also gets you 2 rushing TDs. And then receiving wise, Keon Coleman catches a 64-yard bomb here by Josh Allen. Perfectly thrown. He rolls out to the right, makes a defender miss the sack. And then playmakers, Keon Coleman says, go deeper. I got the arm for it. Throws a bomb right on the money to Keon Coleman. But the player that actually led the Bills in receiving was Ty Johnson. 5 catches, 114 yards for him. I think that's what makes the Bills so deadly. They just got Dalton Kincaid back. He gets 4 catches, 53 yards. Got Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakir, finished with a TD as well. 6 catches, 39 yards. You don't know which wide receiver is going to beat you. They're similar to the Green Bay Packers, where they don't really have a number one wide receiver that's going to go get 1,000 yards. You can book every year or anything like that. So they spread the ball out to everybody equally. So there's enough to beat the Lions here. The Lions can't really do too much to stop it. But Jared Goff, another great game for him. Amazing, spectacular, whatever you want to call it. It will have been cover athlete worthy, but he already has a cover athlete. He had 494 passing yards. He counted his rushing yards, over 500 total scrimmage yards. He had 13 on the ground. He also threw for 5 passing TDs. They lost this game 48-42, so it just wasn't enough. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 carries, 31 yards, and 1 rushing TD. David Montgomery, 5 carries, 4 yards, but they found themselves down most of this game, so they had to air it out. They had to get away from the run game, but the Detroit Lions are capable of passing. So that's what makes them so deadly, in my opinion, where they like to run the ball because it's that Dan Campbell old school football, but they can definitely pass it with the best of them in the league. Amon-Ra St. Brown, great game for him. 14 catches, 193 yards, and a TD. Sam Laporta, probably the best game of the season for him. 1 catches, 111 yards. 7 catches, 111 yards. He did that on 1 catch. He's a dog. But Jahmyr Gibbs, 5 catches, 83 yards, and TD for him as well. So everybody for this team pretty much eats. They got playmakers everywhere. St. Brown, although had a great game, he did lose a fumble, so that one did hurt them. But what a game this was, 48-42. The Bills win, and the Bills are still fighting for that 1 seed that they can get it. They got their division on lock now with this win. But now they're looking at the 1 seed. Can they get that if the Chiefs sit Mahomes for his injury or Mahomes misses time, whatever the case may be? They might be able to lose, and the Chiefs lose. Of course, the Bills do have the tiebreak over them, so Chiefs had to lose a couple games, but the Bills are right there looking for that 1 seed. And the Detroit Lions now find themselves in a tough predicament as well, because the Eagles are right there looking for that 1 seed as well. It's the Minnesota Vikings. That's a 3-way tie. Vikings, Eagles, Lions, all are 12-2, and it's going to be a good race for that 1 seed for the over the course of the next 3 weeks. But I thought this game was spectacular. 95 out of 100. It had been better if the Lions were a little bit closer throughout the game. They were down most of it, and then had to try to go for an onside kick and stuff at the end. Now we're going on to our next game. The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles win this battle of Pennsylvania 27-13. Jalen Hurts didn't have a great game last week. Heard all the chirping. A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, is there a rift in the locker room? Oh, Hurts can't pass. He's got Saquon Barkley handoff merchant. Jalen Hurts, hey, got to shut him up sometimes, you feel me? 290 passing yards this game, 9.1 passing yards per attempt, 2 passing TDs. Also gets a rushing TD, 45 rushing yards on the ground. So over 300 total yards for Hurts. Saquon Barkley, 19 carries, 65 yards. So it gets bottled up really well by this Pittsburgh Steelers team. But A.J. Brown, Hurts, hey, they still look like good money. 8 catches, 110 yards, and a TD for A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith, 11 catches, 109 yards, and a TD for him. So that dynamic duo might be the best 1-2 in the league. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. I know it's Chase and Higgins. That might have been a little too biased. I caught you slipping, though. I heard you ready to type on them keyboards and stuff. But since you're ready to type, go ahead and leave a comment for me. I read all my comments. And after you leave your comment, be sure to go up and like the video. And after you like the video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's free 99, man. You feel me? But the Eagles win this game 27-13. TJ Watt did get a strip sack, of course, on Jalen Hurts. I mean, TJ Watt's just a monster. But the monster on Pittsburgh didn't need to be on the defensive side of the ball. It needed to be on the offensive side of the ball. Because Russell Wilson only 128 passing yards this game and 1 passing TD. They didn't get anything going on the ground. Highly inefficient there. Najee Harris led the way for them with 14 rushing yards. Now you got to look receiver-wise. No George Pickens. So that showed drastically here. Calvin Austin led the way, 5 catches, 65 yards. They just couldn't get much going overall. So they have a tough schedule coming up. They just played the Eagles. Now they got to play the Chiefs and the Ravens. And that Ravens game will likely be for the divisional lead. So a very important game there for both teams. The Steelers have to win one of these games coming up if they want to probably keep the AFC North title. And preferably it would be the Ravens one. But I know the Bills fans are hoping for it to be the Steelers beating the Chiefs if they're going to be any team, because the Bills still looking for that 1 seed. But I thought this game was great overall. And it was great to see Hurts shut up all the haters, but I can't be biased here. I thought the game was above average. I'm giving it a 66 out of 100. And now we got our next game, which is the New England Patriots take on the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cardinals win this game 30-17. Kyler Murray doesn't get you a passing TD, but solid game here by him. 224 passing yards and 0 turnovers, so you'll take that. For the running department, Connor broke a long 53-yard run down the left sideline. He had 16 carries, 110 rushing yards, so solid game there by him. Trey McBride, 9 catches, 87 yards. Still socially distancing from the end zone. He cannot get a TD. It is crazy, though, because I had to look to see, does this man have a TD on the year? Because I promise you, I thought he had one. So I looked and saw he did recover a fumble in the end zone. But that's not a receiving TD. That doesn't count, right? I'm looking at the fine print saying, those don't count. You feel me? You can't really celebrate that fumble recovery TD the same as a receiving TD. So hopefully Trey McBride can get one before the season's over. Okay, he's having a phenomenal year. But he leads the way for them on the receiving department. Now we go look at the flip side. We got the New England Patriots. Drake May, solid game here. 202 passing yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, at least on the stat line. But they didn't get anything going for most of this game. Rondre Stevenson, 13 carries, 69 yards, so solid rushing-wise. But in receiving-wise, New England has nothing going for them. They need help in the receiving department. But Drake May, with no help around him really, still looks like a solid quarterback. Kendrick Bourne leads the way, 3 catches, 44 yards. What I thought was a 17-30 game, Cardinals winning, being up most of the game, or all the game rather, I should say. Wire-to-wire victory here for them. I thought this game was about as mid as you can get. I'm giving it a 50 out of 100. And now we're going on to our next game, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Los Angeles Chargers. And Baker Mayfield is dealing. I want to make me a Tampa Bay Buccaneer cover athlete one. So hopefully Baker can get on one, because this man's been playing sensational all year long. Doesn't matter he has third-string wide receivers in or not. He's gone out there and leading these men to the fullest capabilities that he has. And Baker finishes the game 288 passing yards, 4 TDs, 1 interception. You count his rushing yards, over 300 total. He had 25 rushing yards. Mike Evans goes well above the average he needs to get 1,000 yards on the season. So this is almost like a double game. 9 catches, 159 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The 57-yard TD was the longest one. And Baker threw an absolute laser. The DB tried to dive and break it up down the left sideline. But Mike Evans able to catch it and then just run foot race into the end zone. Now, rushing wise, we got Bucky Irving, 15 carries, 117 rushing yards. So another great game there by Bucky Irving. Rashad White also chipped in with 15 carries. He only had 64 rushing yards, but he did have a receiving TD on 2 catches, 17 yards. Jalen McMillan gets another TD this game. So Jalen McMillan has been filling in since he returned from his injury as well. He's been improving as the season gone on. He finished with 5 catches, 75 receiving yards. Now we go look at Justin Herbert, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Just his second interception all season. His first since week 2 when he played the Carolina Panthers. So Herbert been taking great care of the ball, but they got shellacked this game. They lost 40-17. Gus Edwards couldn't get much going on the ground. 8 carries for 23 yards, and then once you get down early and often, you got to get to airing it out. That's what the Chargers had no choice but to do. Lat McConkey led the way here again for the Chargers. He had 5 catches, 58 yards, and TD. Quentin Johnston is right there with him, 5 catches, 45 yards, and TD. So solid games here for both Chargers first round draft picks, the receivers, but wasn't a very solid game whatsoever. I'm giving this one a below average score of 42 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next one, which was the Green Bay Packers taking on the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday night game. And I was so disappointed in the Seahawks in this game because the Seahawks needed to win this game. They're playing for the NFC West division title, even a potential playoff spot. They're 8-5 going into this, and they get absolutely shellacked by the Green Bay Packers in Seattle, of all places. The Packers take an early lead, 14-0, and then they win in a halftime up 20-3, and that's pretty much the ball game after that. Very non-entertaining game whatsoever. We look at Jordan Love this game, though. Jordan Love, 229 passing yards, 2 TDs, 0 interceptions. So great to see that he's starting to take better care of the ball. He is throwing an interception every game. He's getting his Brett Favre on. The ghost of Brett Favre was talking to this man. Now we go look at Josh Jacobs. He was somebody that could have potentially got cover athletes and stuff before. He's been having a great year. He goes for nearly 100 rushing yards, 26 carries, 94 rushing yards in a TD, but you count as receiving. 4 catches for 42 receiving yards. That puts him at 136 total yards and a TD. But he also did have a fumble that they ended up losing. Christian Watson did lead the way for this team. 3 catches, 56 receiving yards. Now the Seahawks on the flip side. Geno Smith, 149 passing yards, 0 passing TDs, and an interception. Sam Howell came into this game because Geno got hurt. He went 5 for 14 with 24 passing yards and an interception as well. On that anything you can do, I can do better type stuff. Zach Charbonnet filled in for the injured Kenneth Walker. Zach Charbonnet finished with 8 carries, 54 rushing yards, and a TD. JSN led the way. I think he is now the wide receiver one, without a doubt. He had 10 catches, 83 yards. DK Metcalf finished with 3 catches, 28 yards. So, out of these players, wide receivers, JSN to me is now the true number one for this team. But this is another game I thought was below average. I'm giving it a 45 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game, which is a doubleheader on Monday night. Starting with the Chicago Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings beat the Chicago Bears decisively this game. They got up big, got up early. It was 13-0 at halftime. Then at the end of the third, it was 20-3. You could change the channel. It was over. The Minnesota Vikings dominated. Sam Darnold, solid game here by him. 231 passing yards, 1 passing TD, and an interception. Aaron Jones and Cam Akers both get a rushing TD. Jones finished with over 100 scrimmage yards, 86 rushing, and 20 receiving. Justin Jefferson got that receiving TD from Sam Darnold. Jefferson finished with 7 catches, 73 yards, in that receiving TD. Go look at the Chicago Bears here, though. Caleb Williams, 191 passing yards, 1 TD, 0 interceptions. So he's been taking tremendous care of the ball. Only got sacked twice this game, but he did fumble. So no interception. A fumble is still a turnover, though, so he did have one of those. Keenan Allen leads the way for this team. 6 catches, 82 yards, and a TD. I just don't know what the Bears offense is about, man. They're going through so many OC changes. None of them seem to work. This is a team that's in complete disarray, completely dysfunctional. I'm not even sure what the future holds. They got DeAndre Swift, 19 carries, 79 yards. So okay game here by Swift. But we know they need to draft O-linemen. If you draft O-linemen, do you also want to draft a running back that's a loaded running back class? I just don't think Swift is that special. I don't know who they get for their head coach. That could determine how this franchise turns it around. They're able to get Ben Johnson. There's a lot of buzz about that. I don't think Ben Johnson goes to the ops personally, but we have to wait and see. I don't know if Ben Johnson is that type of guy. Be like, no, y'all ain't gonna pay me top dollars. I'm gonna go to the rivals. I'm gonna see you twice a year. I'm gonna make sure y'all don't win the title, the division title, and make the playoffs and all that. I don't think Ben Johnson that type of guy, or at least I don't think the Lions and Ben Johnson departure, if it happens, will be anything messy. I just think it'd be Ben Johnson wanting to go get a head coaching gig. But man, this game was not very entertaining. It was a bad game. I give it a 23 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game, which is the Atlanta Falcons take on the Las Vegas Raiders. And okay, 112 passing yards here for Kirk Cousins. 1 TD, 1 reception. He's missing wide open throws. The interception he threw was like in triple coverage when he had people open. You know, it might be time to make the change at quarterback. But we got to look at the flip side. The Las Vegas Raiders. This is Desmond Ridder that played here. A revenge game for him playing his former team. He finished with 208 passing yards, 1 passing TD, and 2 interceptions. And both those interceptions came late in the game. The Falcons were up 15-3, so they ended up most of this game. The Raiders were able to get a touchdown, force a punt, and then you got a chance for the game-winning comeback drive, final possession. They throw another interception. So the final score is 15-9. The Falcons win this game, but Michael Penix is tough because Michael Penix is probably playing better than Kirk Cousins right now. It's almost one of those things you want to go to Michael Penix, but you don't want to go to Michael Penix. Since you're 7-7, you're still in the hunt. You kind of want to use the veteran Kirk Cousins and got more playoff experience if you count losing as experience. But you kind of want to stay with the veteran there. They might have to make that switch to Penix because Kirk Cousins is not getting it done. He had a QBR at 8.4. Now we got to look at Bijan Robinson on the ground. 22 carries, 125 rushing yards for him. Great game here by Bijan. Broke one run for 29 yards. And then Drake London finished with a TD. He had 3 catches, 53 yards. And then we got to look at the Raiders on the flip side. Desmond Ridder led the team in rushing. 5 carries, 28 yards. And then Jacoby Myers and Amir Abdullah were the top receivers for the Raiders. Jacoby Myers, 5 catches, 59 yards. Amir Abdullah, 7 catches, 58 yards, and a receiving TD. Allison Madison returned, and he fumbled. So, welcome back, Alexander Madison. You're right where you left off. But I'm going to give this one a slightly above average grade of 52 out of 100. And that will conclude this review of this week. So you made it this far in the video. Please type giveaway. I have been trying to give away $10 for the past few weeks and nobody has typed it. So whoever is the first one to type giveaway, I will give you $10. I kid you not. It is a free $10. No strings attached. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see you guys on the next one.